I went on a date with a rapist. I locked myself in a room with him and I paid for it. Trigger warning, brief mention of SA, practically no detail.
A lot of people are really surprised when they learn that I am not dating right now. Zero interest, minus interest if that was possible, until I share with them what I'm about to share with you, and then they're like, okay, yeah, fair enough, justified. So a little bit of housekeeping. I know, boring, but definitely necessary. I'm going to tell this experience in the form of like a story time, and I want you to know and understand I think this is really serious. The bottom line and learning from this experience that I had that I'm about to share is you never, ever, ever know who you're meeting, ever. And you can be as careful as you possibly can and still... Okay, so rewind. How did I come in contact with this man? He slid into my Instagram DMs, maybe early summer. He was fairly persistent. I replied, but I was quite chill, definitely not inviting him in for conversations because honestly his chatter was kind of boring, damp. Then towards the end of the summer, on I think a Wednesday afternoon, he messaged me being like, hey, let's just go on a date this weekend, come on. So that kind of piqued my interest, so I replied being like, for all the irony of this, for all I know you could be a murderer. And he replied saying, even if I was a murderer, you'd be well able to run away from me because I have a disability. I'm not going to share the disability. And that was kind of funny to me, the way he took the piss out of himself a little bit. Obviously didn't take himself or his disability super seriously. And that piqued my interest. And I was like, you know what? You've got my attention, sir. So I said, fine, let's go on a date. He suggested, let's go to the zoo. I said, let's the fuck not. I do not like zoos at all. So I said, leave it up to me. I'll organise the date. I showed a social media friend of mine his picture. In his profile picture, he was very handsome, very much my type. And she was like, oh, I actually recognise his picture. I think I've seen him on that Facebook page. So she's part of the Facebook page, Are We Dating the Same Man? So she did me the solid favour of going through the page. She found the post where someone had asked if there's any, I don't know, dirt on this guy, and there were no comments, which, as far as I'm aware, is a thumbs up, a green flag. So 2 days after he asked me on a date, we went on our date. Something in my gut told me to meet him on neutral ground. Even though he was fairly persistent on collecting me from my home, I was like, no, we'll meet in this place. So we met in a public car park and we drove to the date in his car. Straight away, within like 5 minutes, I knew this was not a vibe. We didn't mesh well. He talked about being very, very fond of going drinking, getting very drunk. He said he goes to Spain every single year and his favourite thing to do is to drink the shit out of it, and that's fine if that's your thing, it's just not my thing. And he went on to say that he got so drunk in Spain earlier this year that he fell asleep on a roundabout for the whole night. This is a 38-year-old man. Look, just not my thing, not my thing. Something else not hugely relevant to the story, but he kept bringing the conversation back to his disability, constantly. And I got the impression that he kind of made it his entire personality. I didn't give a fuck about his disability, but he clearly still did. During our chats on the drive, I learned that he had moved from one part of Ireland to another part, quite far away. And I asked him why that was, and he said he basically kind of brushed it off saying, oh, I had to leave. There were people putting fireworks in through my letterbox, and I was like, that's fucking weird. But I definitely got from his tone that he didn't want to delve into that further, so I didn't push it, but I definitely filed it away as a bit of a weird situation. Take a wild guess what I had booked for our date. An escape room. So we had time to grab a quick drink before the escape room. We went into a pub, into a beer garden. It was lovely and warm, really sunny, and we just kind of small talked for half an hour. Again, the chatter reinforced that he definitely wasn't my type. Moved to the escape room, and that was pretty terrible as well. If you haven't done an escape room, you're given a radio and you can radio out for hints if you're struggling to figure out the next step in the puzzle. When I tell you, I was on the radio every like 3-4 minutes looking for more hints. I wanted to get the fuck out of there. I wanted this date to be over because we weren't vibing. Well, I wasn't vibing. After the emergency room, we left and he suggested we get a drink or go for ice cream or something, and I was like, no, I need to get back to my dogs. I love being a dog owner for that. So he dropped me back to my car. He said, do you want to meet up again? I said, oh sure, DM me. And off I went home. No shift, no kiss, nothing. Thanks, bit of f***. So talk about a weird coincidence. 4 4 days later, I was on a road trip to the part of the country that he's from. Someone I know was buying a vehicle and I was going with as company for the road trip. So when we arrived at the house that was selling it, I just got chatting to one of the people living there and I said, oh my God, I went on a first date with a guy that I think lives in the next village. And the man said, oh, what's his name? And I mentioned the guy's name and the man said, yeah, he moved away from here. And I replied with, yeah, he said people were like shooting fireworks at his house or something. It was a really weird situation. He didn't want to talk about it. And then the man said, did he not tell you why you moved away? And I said, no. And there was a really long awkward pause. I was like, well, now you have to tell me. This man raped a 15-year-old girl. You know when they say your stomach turns? I actually felt my stomach physically turn on itself. I was sick. When I regained my composure, I asked the man, okay, well, what age was he? So this man was in his early 30s when it happened. And it actually turned out to be the guy's father's best friend's daughter. Fucked up whatever way you dice it. I'm not going to lie, the whole road trip home, I was really struggling mentally with this. I couldn't believe it. First of all, what are the odds I would be in the exact same area that the date guy was from just a few days later, completely coincidentally, and then I'm given the information of what he has done. So that, my friends, is why I am not currently actively on the dating scene. I don't know if I ever will be. The date prior to that was also a terrible date, also semi-traumatic, and that guy also had a past, albeit not as severe as this one. I don't even know how to close out this video, but basically that's it. That's what happened, and the learning from this and the value add that this might have for someone is you never ever 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 know who you're meeting up with, and you just have to be so careful, and you can never be too careful. Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye.